and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Shootin the Schmidt. What do we got? Episode 24? Mamba episode. For those of you looking for it right away on Friday, apologies, it's a little bit late. I had this recorded, or about 2 minutes away from being totally recorded and finished and ready to go last night, when I normally record it the night before, and everything just crashed. I was just finishing up the last little bit, about to, do the outro and everything crashed. So, it's been such a rough week for me. I could go on for hours about the week I've had. It's been brutal, and that was a tipping point. And I just said I'll get back to it and redo it tomorrow. And so it still should be going up on Friday, just not quite at the normal time. So apologies for that. But, technology said no. But anyway, let's get into everything podcast worthy. For those of you watching on the YouTube version, make sure to drop a like down below, comment on anything we talk about in today's episode. For those of you on the listening platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Stitcher, make sure to follow, stay up to date with new podcast episodes every single week. For an Apple, leave those 5-star reviews. We'd love to read them out live on the pod. And let's get into today's stuff. Not a lot on tap, but some topics that we could probably rant on for a little bit, which is always good, getting me in rant mode. And like I said, with the week I've had, I'm in the mood to rant. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the NBA Finals. I think when I talked about this last week, the Suns were already in, but we didn't know between the Bucks and the Hawks who was going to make it out of the East quite yet. The Bucks made it. They finished off the Hawks, even with the injury to Giannis. And everything, that they made it into the finals. Giannis has played both games of the finals so far that have happened. The Suns, however, have a 2-0 lead, and pretty easy one, I feel like. I feel like for the most part, they've controlled both games. They were up pretty big in game one. The Bucks kind of made it interesting, though, toward the end, making a little bit of a comeback. And, the game was relatively close for most of last night. It wasn't really, above double digits for too long. If ever, but it just overall throughout the entire game just seems like the Suns were in complete control, and they look to be in complete control of the series. They're up 2-0. It's looking like the Phoenix Suns are going to run away with this thing. My pick from the beginning, at least to make it to the finals, looks like they're going to run away with this whole thing. Barring any big comeback from Milwaukee, but Phoenix just looks like overall the more complete team of the two. Right, they just seem like they've got everything flowing. Chris Paul is coming in and taking that young core and putting them all together, and they look great from top to bottom. Their starters look great. DeAndre Ayton has evolved into a very, very good center. Devin Booker obviously finally getting his shine. He's been snubbed from all-star teams and never gotten the shine and talk for as good of a player as he is in this league, but he's getting to put it on the biggest stage right now, and he's lighten it up. And from the looks of things, Phoenix is going to walk away as the NBA champions. We'll see. There's still a lot of basketball left to be played. 2-0 leads we've seen leads get blown before. So we'll see what happens. But I'm not thinking personally that Milwaukee is the team to do it. I think they'll take a game. The series is shifting back over to Milwaukee. I think they can at least get a game out of the series. I don't expect it to be a Suns in 4, maybe. I don't know. That's been the running meme so far, so we'll see. We'll see if they can do it. Wouldn't surprise me, but I think the Bucks can definitely take a game under the right circumstances, especially playing at home. I don't think it'll be too much of a shock if they end up getting one game under their belt, but I don't see any chance really that the Bucks have. I didn't really see one before the series started, and Phoenix is coming out, like I said, and they just look like the better team. Look like the complete team. And so far it's been a good finals, an entertaining one, especially if you are a Suns fan. You're loving this right now. I know some of my boys are from Arizona, so they're loving their Suns getting their shine for what's been a franchise for a while that's been in the dumps, and now all of a sudden they're in a finals and looking like they're going to walk away as NBA champions, but we'll see. But, there's been a lot of talk on this not being the finals that people wanted. It definitely wasn't the finals that people expected, with Brooklyn and the Lakers and, so many other Clippers even, got some talk. And, there's a lot of other teams out there that seemed more likely. The Sixers, obviously, in there, they're always kind of they've been with the Bucks at least the last few years as a team that could make it out of the East into the finals. But, a Bucks-Suns finals wasn't really what people expected, but I think that makes it cool. It's a couple of teams that, don't have 3 of the top 10 best players in the NBA all on the same team. And it's 2 teams that, if I'm correct, the only guy from either team that has been in an NBA finals before is Jay Crowder. Unless I'm missing somebody, but I think that's been the running story, is there's no real finals experience on either of these teams. And to me, that makes it really cool. And unlike a lot of the finals that we've seen in recent years, it's already unlike finals in recent years when LeBron's not in it. But no Warriors in it, right? No Lakers, none of really the expected teams. Brooklyn was obviously a big expected team this year. They're not in it. Obviously injuries and stuff have come into play there, but I don't know. I think this makes it a more interesting finals. Maybe if you're more of a casual NBA fan, you don't really know any of the players on the teams, maybe it doesn't make it as interesting for you, but as someone who knows basketball pretty well, I keep up with the NBA a decent amount, for the most part, at least enough to know who people are and what they can do. But, I don't know. To me, this makes it a little bit more exciting, I guess. You've got teams out there that are built well, that have stars, not top 10, not all, 3 top 10 NBA players on one team, but they got stars, they've got great cores, they've got great coaches. I don't know. I think this is great basketball in my opinion, and I think it makes it exciting and at the very least a nice change of pace from, finals and stuff we've got in the past. The NBA is a star-studded league. It's ran by the stars, and it's been, ran by, the super teams and stuff for the last number of years. And now we're just seeing a couple really good, complete NBA teams going at it in the finals, which I think is really cool. So we'll see how things go for the rest of the finals. By this time, excuse me. By the time we get to the next episode of the pod, the finals might be done. I don't know the exact schedule, but if the Suns do complete a sweep, I would imagine that would be done within the next week. So we might have an NBA champion by the time that we come back around to the next episode of the podcast. We'll see. Definitely pulling for the Suns. It's been amazing what they've done, and of course, I got some boys that are from Arizona, so it's awesome for them to be able to watch their team do what they're doing right now. And we'll see how things go. Moving on to some other somewhat finals talk, but not directly related to either of the 2 teams necessarily. We've got some off-the-court NBA drama going down, and this is with somebody, if you keep up with the NBA at all, NBA coverage, especially on ESPN or anything, you'll know who Rachel Nichols is. She's been in the news a little bit for, the last week or so for some hot mic comments that were made, supposedly behind closed doors, but, were picked up on a hot mic. And, this came out on headlines as being something that was so outrageous and terrible. So long story short, Rachel Nichols was asked to take a different role from her typical seat that she has for the NBA Finals, to where she kind of leads the halftime crew, the post-game crew, pre-game crew, all that stuff. Rachel Nichols has been there doing that stuff for forever. She does so much stuff with the NBA and, of course, with the NBA Finals. But she was asked to take on a different role. And this is Rachel Nichols we're talking about. This is somebody who's, like I said, is one of the big faces of NBA coverage. And she obviously wasn't too happy about it. And, of course, there was a lot of talk as well on who her replacement was, who is Maria Taylor. This was headlined as something that was pretty brutal, pretty outlandish, and kind of painted Rachel in a very bad light with some of the comments that she potentially made. To set another backstory, if you don't know who Maria Taylor is, African-American analyst on ESPN, so you probably know where this is going. And that's exactly where I thought it was going when a lot of the headlines and talk came out about what Rachel Nichols said. I'm obviously assuming the worst. She got caught saying some pretty bad stuff. But I've got the audio right here. So let's take a listen to what Rachel said.
They said to me, hey, instead of posting the NBA Finals, like, why don't you do Doris's sideline reporter job for the NBA Finals? Because guess what that would clear the way for? For Maria to do the hosting. Yeah. So, I have declined. I don't know what their next move is, but they are feeling pressure because of all of that. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how to just, my thing was that I wish Maria Taylor all the success in the world. She covers football, she covers basketball. If you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling pressure about your crappy long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I myself, know personally from the female side of it, go for it. Just, find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it with me.
Anybody got anything wrong with Rachel Nichols with what you just said? Anybody? I don't know about you. I was expecting miles worse than that. I was expecting some pretty rough comments to come out of it, but it was honestly handled, I think, very professionally. And this is exactly something that I would expect to hear on somebody that was on a mic, right? Like if you were to ask someone this in an interview or on camera, on a mic, whatever, this is how I would expect it to be represented. Mind you, this is supposedly behind closed doors. And this is how she's talking. Excuse me. This is how she's talking about it and handling it. I see no problem here. I mean, I think she said exactly what needed to be said and exactly how she felt. And I think it's all spot on. Bottom line, Rachel doesn't want to lose her spot. As somebody who's done this job like she has for years, she doesn't want to lose this spot, right? And especially for, as she talks about, for something that is so obviously done for representation purposes, because why else would you remove Rachel Nichols, who's done this kind of stuff for years? Why else would you remove her from this spot? There's no other reason to do that other than, like she said, for representation purposes. And she doesn't really flame ESPN too bad for it, to be honest. I mean, she comes at him and, acknowledges that they do a crappy job of it and that the way they're trying to handle it right now isn't necessarily the best way, but she also acknowledges the fact that she's been someone who's, had to face that before as well. Being a female, with the lack of representation there in her eyes. I think she acknowledges this very professionally, handles it very professionally, and doesn't even come at Maria Taylor either for anything that she's done. She talks about how great of a job she's done and that she wishes her all the success in the world, but thinks that this is bogus to remove her from her spot, from her job, based on something that is clearly done for representation purposes. And the thing that annoys me about this the most is knowing that if the roles were reversed, there'd be a shit show going down on social media. You best believe. If Maria Taylor was getting removed for a spot for Rachel Nichols, oh, man. Oh, you wouldn't get Stephen A. Smith to shut up for a week. No shot. No shot. But it's okay in this scenario. It's okay in this scenario to take someone's job away because of their race. Right. Because there's all this talk all the time about, it seems like whenever, there's a competition for a coaching hire for a team, right? And there'll be an African-American coach who doesn't get the job. And there's always talk about if it's because of their race or not, which I agree if it is. And that's the only reason. If they're qualified for the job and they don't get it because of their race, that's bullshit. I couldn't agree more. But why is it not bullshit in this scenario? Because it's clearly the reason. What other reason do you have to take away the face of ESPN reporting for the NBA? That's what Rachel Nichols is. She's the face of this shit. And you're taking her away for what? What other reason would there be? But not only does nobody seemingly care about it in this scenario because of the way that the roles are, Rachel Nichols is getting the biggest heat from this for speaking about it. And I just played you the audio, and I think that's pretty well mannered for someone that's in her spot right now. I don't know about you, but I think I'd be a little more pissed, right? Especially if that is behind closed doors. That's why I was expecting so much worse from this audio, but I don't get it. You know? And it's a big reason for me why ESPN is falling off, right? Because so much of this stuff is taking more precedent than what the actual job is here of sports and news and all this stuff, right? Like this stuff is taking more precedent. And I'm getting so sick of of just how hypocritical this whole thing is. Because like I said, in this scenario, with the way the roles are, it's not an issue. And it's hypocritical, right? One way or another, it's bullshit if someone doesn't get the job solely based on their race. It doesn't matter what the roles are. We can't pick and choose. This is BS. It is what it is. Like I said, I'd have a hard time believing it was for something else. Unless there's just something nobody's saying. Because Rachel Nichols is the face of this shit. She's done it forever. Right? Like she is NBA reporting. Her and, Doris Burke. At least for females, Those are the two that come to mind. What other reason would she have to be removed? Replaced by somebody else? I don't like it. Now, there's been so much of this shit going on with ESPN, especially as of recently. Right? The U.S. men's basketball team had their roster announced. And Jalen Rose is up in arms because Kevin Love made the team. Why couldn't we have an all-black team? Why did Kevin Love have to make the team? So we had a white guy. What? Reverse that role and tell me that goes over well. Right? Reverse that. Tell me that goes over okay. Then you got the other dumbass, Jay Williams. How this guy is still allowed to be on air, I don't know. Celtics hired a brand new coach just a few weeks ago or something now at this point. Name escapes me, but African-American coach who they hired. Jay Williams tweets out, "Congratulations to the Celtics for hiring their first African-American coach ever." Because I guess Doc Rivers just fell over and died. Among the other 3, 4, or 5 African-American coaches that they've had, whose names I don't all have at the top of my head. Doc Rivers is obviously the most recent. Bottom line, it wasn't their first. And Jay Williams not only gets no heat or no repercussions from this, he has the audacity to tweet that his account got hacked. And that's his excuse for the ignorant tweet. Right. Love it. Yeah. ESPN's been turning into a shitstorm, and it keeps getting worse for them with stuff like this. And this story bugs me. Like I said, just purely because of how hypocritical it is. Right? Defeats the whole purpose of everything that's gone on. Okay? I agree things aren't perfect in this world, right? Especially when it comes to racial stuff. But how does it, what does this do, right? In my opinion, it makes it infinitely worse. Infinitely worse. And it's sad. I won't rant on that too much longer. We'll get into the last topic of the day, which is an interesting one because it typically, for the most part, if I talk about something that's either a big current event, something with sports or video games or something in that nature, right? Because those are the things that I follow the most closely. We're going to switch things up a little bit today. Because I'm going to talk about a TikTok video that I saw. Okay? Now, like most everybody else, I see a lot of TikTok content very often. Comedic or whatever it may be. This is a video that I saw the other day, and I'm not going to lie, it really struck a nerve, right? And this is, you're going to hear this, and you're going to hear my reaction and probably think I'm looking way too much into this and overreacting about it, and you're probably right, but I think that there's an important thing to be said about this here. And I talked about at the beginning how I was upset that my podcast that I recorded last night crashed, right? Because it was just about done, had everything done. The good part about this is in the previous recording last night, I didn't have the video to play. I just basically, spit what I could remember from it and talked about it. I found the video. So we're going to be able to play it. You don't really need to see the video for it. The audio is the most important part. So you get to hear it firsthand and then hear my thoughts. Okay. So let's get into this.
Or perspective.
It was my first day in therapy, and my therapist said, "You seem really well adjusted for someone who's never gone to therapy. Why are you here?" And I said, "I'm a good husband, I'm a good father, I'm a good friend, I'm a good employee, but I want to be great at all those things, and I feel like if I could be great at those by myself, I would have been by now, so I'm getting help." And she said, "Employee is someone you are for your job, husband is someone you are for your wife, father is someone you are for your son, and friend is someone you are for your friends. Who are you for yourself? Who are you outside of those roles?" And then the waterworks happened, and I heard myself say, "I'm not sure there's much of a person at the end of all that." And that was the beginning of me figuring out who I was at 30-something years old. Everything changed after that.
That's the video. Okay. And this video has gotten a lot of viewership, I believe. The video I found was some duet. It wasn't the original video that I saw. But it's gotten a lot of talk. It's gotten a lot of reposts. It's everywhere the video is posted at, it's got a lot of comments. And a lot of the comments say the exact same thing. Or very, very many of them say a lot of the same thing. Man, how deep that message is. How true that is, right? Man, that really spoke to me. I felt that. And I feel like I'm the only one sitting here and laughing at it and thinking about how much bullshit that is. And I get what the video and what the message and what the whole point of it was trying to say, right? Because it's been a popular topic in social media for a while now, right? At least the last couple of years. It's trying to make sure that you find worth in yourself and find ability in yourself and you're comfortable with who you are and you don't need to rely necessarily on other people to make yourself happy, to be able to do or pursue things in life. I get that that's the message. And this could just be a terrible example. But this video to me was complete BS. You had the guy go through probably 4 of the most important things in his life, right? Because he said he's a father for his child, husband for his wife, friend for his friends, and employee for his bosses, okay? 2 of those things for sure should be hands down the most important things in your life, not even a remote question at that stage of your life, right? Husband for your wife, father for your kid. It better not get more important than those 2 things, I would hope. Right? And then friend for your friends and employee for your bosses, right? A couple of the other most important things, where they rank maybe could depend for each certain person, but regardless. Those are 4 of the most important things. 2 of them for sure should be 1 and 2. Or 1A and 1B. And you want this guy to... You ask this guy to essentially, in theory, remove these things from his life and figure out what he would be without it. And like he said, I didn't think there was much of a person outside of those things. Really? No shit. I would hope not. I mean, can we do a family feud poll on this, right? Can we go ask 100 married dudes with kids and see who the hell they are as a person without two of the most important things in their life? I would hope the vast majority of them say there's not much, right? In theory, again, I'm probably taking this to a step further than what it's actually supposed to go. But this to me just screams such BS, right? I think we're taking this whole thing, this whole popular trend in social media of finding worth in just yourself and doing things on your own. We're starting to take this too far, right? Because I think the important message that needs to come across from this is being able to do things and not have to rely on shitty people in your life, right? Not desiring people just to be there, just to have people, right? Making sure you have the right people in your life to be there with, to interact with, to live life with, to experience life with, whatever. And cut the shitty people out. That should be the important part of this. But I think we're getting to a point to where we're trying to put too much emphasis on doing things by yourself and doing them alone, when in reality, that's not what we as humans are supposed to be, right? Humans are interactive creatures. We're meant to interact and talk and communicate and do things together, not be alone. And I think we're getting too much emphasis on just cutting people out just for the sake of cutting people out, right? You know, there's people out there that heavily desire, that haven't been in a relationship for a while or maybe ever, you know, and they desire one, right? And we get people jumping on them saying, no, wait. You got to make sure that you're good with yourself first, that you're 100% satisfied with being by yourself before you can have somebody else. And I look at that and go, wait a minute. If you get to a point where you're 100% satisfied being by yourself, then why would you desire anybody else? Like, why are we trying to transform people into wanting to be alone and not have anybody else? I feel like this is where things are going. And this isn't the case for everybody. Some people can read between the lines. Like I said, I understand where the message is going and some people can see it. But I worry we're getting to the other side of the extreme here, right? Because like I said, the real message that's there is good, right? Don't keep shitty people in your life just for the sake of having people, you know? Because at that point, it's probably not worth it, okay? And I think there is an important... I do think it is important to get yourself figured out, you know? To look at yourself and to be able to work on yourself and make yourself better. I'm not disagreeing with those things, but this example really pissed me off because of how many people just said, "Oh, preach truth. It's deep. It hit me." It what? It hit you that there should be something more important, that you as your own self and finding something without the most important things in your life should be an important thing? Whew. I don't know. Like I said, I get it. I'm probably reading too much into this. I understand the message that's trying to be portrayed here. But this kind of stuff that I see just gets me a little worried because I don't think people are thinking too much about this. Bottom line, don't feel bad, right, for wanting other people in your life and wanting to please other people and wanting to do all those things. Obviously, if it becomes a point to where it's done in the wrong way or it's done to a toxic extent, right, and that's all you're ever doing is trying to please people who aren't worth a shit, then yeah, then we have a problem. But desiring other people in your life, wanting to do things for the important people in your life, right? Wanting to become a better father and husband for your wife and your child are not things that you should go into therapy for and be told that you're not doing that you're looking at it the wrong way. Like, I hope to an extent that this didn't actually happen, right? I hope that this is some like theoretical, like fictional thing that was just passed on from some inspirational quote book or some BS. Because I'm hoping to God a therapist didn't sit there and ask a guy to think about what he was for himself rather than for his child and his wife. I hope to God that didn't happen. Because like I said, if you ask any other father/husband out there what he is without those two important things in his life, I would hope the vast majority answer would be nothing. Right? Like, I watched that video and I heard that guy say, I don't think there's much of a person beyond those two things. And I said, good! There shouldn't be. Right? Like, those things are your life. It threw me off so much. And again, I'm probably looking too much into this. I get it. I've said it before, but this upset me. Because I hope we're not trending too far in a bad direction with this stuff. It's all right to want other people and to do things for other people. That's it. That's okay. That's a good thing to do. That's human nature. Don't feel bad about that. All right. I think that's where we're going to wrap things up for the pod today. A little bit of a shorter one. Like I said, not too many topics, big things really to discuss, but a couple ranty ones. So hopefully that was enjoyable to some extent. I might make that somewhat of a series to some extent because I feel like fairly often I see some video or clip or, post or something somewhere that I read or come across that just irks me. And maybe we'll get some more Schmitty rants in the future because I don't know. I feel like that could be a good series, good topic of discussion. So, let me know all your thoughts based on that. But I think we're going to start to wrap things up. For those who are on the YouTube version, make sure to smack the Schmidt out of like button down below. Comment on anything that we talked about in today's episode, especially any of those two ranty topics that we went on. Let me know your thoughts for sure. For those who are on the listening platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google, and Stitcher, make sure to follow us. Stay up to date with new episodes every single week. If you're on Apple, leave those 5-star reviews. Let them know live on the pod. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to another episode of Shoot the Schmidt. We'll be back next week with episode number 25. Hope you guys all have a good week. We'll see you then. Peace.